everyone, and welcome to the December 2016 edition of Commander on a Budget. I'm Nitsa Hone, and I post a new budget Commander deck each and every month on the third Wednesday of that month. Each of these decks is worth under $100 in paper Magic, and well under that in online Magic. This particular deck is 18 tickets online and $90 in paper. And these decks, are for Commander play, for relatively casual, for fun Commander play. To me, that's what Commander really is. I'm more interested in casual Commander than I am in trying to be competitive and win a Commander tournament. These decks obviously do win, and I play matches with them to show you that, but they're definitely on the more casual end of Commander. And this month, I decided to do Rosheen Meanderer. It's a Commander I've had a deck for a long time on Magic Online, one that I have a lot of fun of and decided to just go with this month. It's red and green, sort of a Christmas theme, I guess, if you like. And basically, Rosheen Meanderer asks of you, she asks that you play a bunch of spells that do things with X, or cards with X mana cost, activated ability cost, things like that. Anything with X in it. And that's a pretty fun thing to do. Commander is a lot of the time about whoever can play the biggest, craziest, splashiest spell in the later part of the game, and with this deck, that'll usually be you, especially if you have Rosheen Meanderer in play. And so what this deck does, basically, is ramp, try to play huge and crazy spells with X's in them. Some of them can win you the game on the spot. Others just give you a really huge threat that your opponent has a difficult time dealing with. So as usual, when I do these decks, I have things sort of divided into piles. First of all, I have lands. There's nothing super unique or interesting here. The one card I do want to mention, because it has X in its cost, is Kessig Wolfrun. It's a great card in general. If you're red-green, you probably should have it in your Commander deck anyway. It's also a budget card. And for X or red and a green, you can give something plus X plus 0 and trample, most importantly. So that can often just swing a game in your favor if your opponent forgets it's in play. In this pile, I have ways of ramping us other than Rosheen Meanderer herself. A thing that's great to do in this deck is play Rosheen Meanderer on turn 3 or earlier, and this deck can do that from time to time with mana dorks. You've got Elvish Mystic, Copper Myr, Soul Ring, always, Talisman of Impulse, Skrull Signet, Felwar Stone, Whisperer of the Wild, Sylvan Caryatid, Sakura Tribelder, and Beastcaller Savant, all of which, if you play them on turn 1 or 2, you can play Rosheen Meanderer on turn 3. Other big ramp cards you have, because we have a lot of creatures with X converted mana cost, are things like Shaman of Forgotten Ways, who incidentally, sometimes you can also use its 9 green ability to just win a game, because you can just make so much mana in this deck, but the ramping is the big thing. Kodama's Reach, of course, a pretty big staple in green Commander decks alongside Cultivate, especially in ones where you want a lot of mana. Got Commander's Sphere, helps fix us. We can cash it in for a card if we need to. Hedron Archive ramps us, and we can cash in for cards if we need to. Frontier Siege adds 4 extra mana to our mana pool a turn, 1 in each main phase. I don't ever name Dragon in this deck. This deck has a few flyers, but not enough for that to matter. Gilded Lotus, basically a staple in Commander. And then Zendikar Resurgent, any card that doubles your mana production. Most of them are very expensive for Commander. Not Zendikar Resurgent, though, because it's new enough, and it's not a colorless card like Gauntlet of Power or whatever. So Zendikar Resurgent is a nice card to have. It also lets you draw a card every time you play something. Here I just sort of have staples, cards that we needed to put into this deck so it can deal with things other than just casting big X things. So you got Ancient Grudge, should be in any red-green Commander deck you have. Got Hull Breach, I think it's a little less well-known, also should be in any red-green Commander deck you have. It's basically always a 2-for-1 because you can just nuke an artifact and an enchantment for 2 mana. Eternal Witness, a great card, gets you back a big splashy spell with X in it in this deck. Chaos Warp can deal with any permanent, and that's nice. Pyrohemia is a nice board sweeper that can also just turn into a win condition sometimes. Aftershock I like for its flexibility in addition to its low price tag. Outpost Siege draws you extra cards, and that's not a bad place to be. Acidic Slime is just, it can deal with anything, and then it has Death Touch. And then Green Warden of Marasa is great. It's just a big Eternal Witness, a double Eternal Witness, if you will, because it does the Eternal Witness effect twice and has a much larger body. And then the last 22 cards in the deck are all, or 32 even, are all cards that Rosheen Meanderer likes to do things with. First of all, we have, by the way, there's a Hydra sub-theme in here, as you might expect. Red and green happen to have a lot of Hydras, and here's our first of those, Pelukranos. He doesn't cost X, but his monstrosity has X in it, and obviously it gets a lot better when you can pay 4 mana of Rosheen Meanderer for his monstrosity. Arashi can just kill things out of the sky. You can also use Channel to just kill things without playing Arashi. Jawari, they're sort of part of a cycle. Cycle's a strong word, but, there's Arashi the Sky Sunder and Jawari there with the Flame. They're sort of complements to one another. This one's actually better in most situations because it can basically kill any creature in play as long as it doesn't have flying. Steel Hellkite, basically a staple, but in this deck you can sometimes pay crazy amounts of mana to kill even the craziest permanents. Vertiloth is a lot of fun because you can pay a lot extra mana for his kicker, and then all of the sapperlings in play get huge. Here's another Hydra, the Broodmaster. Doesn't have X in its cost, but man, that one can just kill your opponent if you just put 9 mana into that. That can often just win you the game. Not hard to do in this deck. Flame Blast Dragon just blazes something every turn when it attacks, which, again, with all the mana we have, can be quite a lot. Orochi Hatchery lets us make a bunch of snakes. Endless one of the less exciting things we can do, but it can just be a huge, massive threat that's difficult to deal with. Savage-born Hydra, just another huge, difficult threat, but it has double strike, and you can put more counters on it if you want to. Savage Twister, one of our board sweepers, probably something else that should basically be in any red-green commander deck. Clan Defiance, amazing in this deck. Usually you're able to kill one thing and then do another X to your opponent, and that's awesome. Apocalypse Hydra, another just massive creature who we can just make huge, and then you can also just use its counters to damage people. Wildest Dreams is a new card from, well, relatively new, from Kaladesh, and man, this one can just single-handedly win you games sometimes. You're like in the later part of the game and you cast Wildest Dreams, you pay like 14 mana, your opponent's probably not beating you because you just got, 6 cards back from your graveyard? It's insane. Wild Call just makes a huge creature. Vastwood Hydra, another Hydra. This one basically has modular. You can move all the counters to something else. Genesis Hydra is awesome because you can make it huge, and it gives you a free permanent from the top of your library, basically, because you can pay so much mana. Protean Hydra, just another big Hydra, except this one is hard to kill with damage. Mistcutter Hydra, a Hydra with haste and pro blue and can't be countered. Feral Hydra, another Hydra you can just make bigger. Animist's Awakening is another way to just make sure we get even more lands in play for our other big X spells. Fall of the Titans, easy to hit Surge, because sometimes you can just burn an X spell just to cast it, and then this does an insane amount of damage to 2 different things. Rolling Thunder's great, you can damage the whole board. Fanning the Flames, not that hard to cast over and over again with buyback in this deck, and you can just be like, okay, burn you for 7, buyback, burn you for 7, buyback, and people die pretty quickly that way. Comet Storm, another big board sweeper for us. Lightning Serpent, just a X Ball Lightning who does a bunch of damage. He's even better when you get him back with something. Disintegrate, just another big X spell. This one exiles things. Devil's Play, X spell in hand, X spell in graveyard. Demon Fire, X spell with the upside of it exiles things, and it can't be countered if your hand's empty. Crater's Claws, gonna do the extra damage if we have Rosheen Meanderer in play. Burn from Within, exile something, also makes things unindestructible. Not many things that do that. And Banefire, which can't be prevented if you do 5 or more. So basically, the early strategy of this deck is get Rosheen Meanderer out, play a big early threat that's difficult for the opponent to deal with, and then burn them out with one of our X-Burn spells at the end of the game. And that's, if you win, that's generally how it works out. Where the deck can struggle sometimes is if you just can't stick a Rosheen Meanderer. Obviously, we're all in on that with all these X spells, but it's a lot of fun to play if you like playing big, splashy spells. I'll play 3 games with it now so you can see what I mean. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. If you want to make sure you catch future Commanders on a budget, don't forget to subscribe. And before I move on to the games, I want to remind you guys that my content is sponsored in part by 5colorcombo.com, which is a great site if you're into Magic the Gathering. Lots of great content from content creators can be found there, including myself. You can also find a store there where they have great prices on tokens and playmats, and you can use my discount code NITSAHONE5 there to get a 5% discount on those things. They also have a great app that's already in existence for drafting, and they're working on more future apps for constructed format testing and things like that. So keep an eye out for 5-Color Combo as new things will be coming, and right now it's already a great website. So I will move on now to the games. Thanks for watching.